Okay, this is a continuation of page 141, numbers 16 through 21. I wanted to walk through number 19 with you. And instead of doing my table by hand, which we can always do the table by hand, and you start the table by choosing your x values. Okay, your x values are going to be, you set the inside of this equal to 0. So your x values would be -6, and then you set the inside equal to 1, -5. Then you set the inside equal to 0, 1, and then 4. Set it equal to 4, and you would get 2. I'm sorry, -2, and so forth. So you're setting the inside equal to the perfect squares. So if I wanted to keep going with this, I'd set the inside equal to the next perfect square, which would be 9. So if I set the inside equal to 9, x plus 6 equals 9. Subtract 6 from both sides, you get x equals 3. Okay, so these are all the x values that we're going to be looking for. But I'm going to show you how to do this on a calculator. Alright, so you take out your calculator. I use the TI-30XS Multiview. There are some other calculators out there that that you can also use on the EOCT, but this is one that I really like for now. So what you want to do is you push table and get rid of anything that you have typed in there by pushing delete. You can't use clear here, you have to push delete. And then enter in the function negative square root of x plus 6. The variables on this calculator are down here on the bottom left, bottom left. Push that, that's your x plus 6. And then you go to the right to get out of the square root, and plus 2. And then you push enter, and it says you want to start at 3.5. No, I don't really want to start there. I want to start at -6. And I want to go up by 1, I guess. So enter, 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 and here you go. So if I substitute in -6, I get 2. If I substitute in -5, I get 1. So -6, 2, 5, 1. And then notice the next thing on the calculator is -4, but that's going to be really hard to graph as it has a decimal there, 0.5857. I wouldn't really know how to graph those. But here we are, -2 comma 0. And you notice that's the value that I picked here, -2 comma 0. And then we should look for +3 in our next entry. That should be our next whole number y value. And it is -3 comma -1. Alright, so what you're going to do is come over here to the graph, -6 comma 2, -5 comma 1, -2 comma 0, and then 3, 1, 2, 3 comma -1. So if you graph this, this one's going to be pointing towards the right, like this. Okay? So what is the domain when you look at this? Well, the domain is all the possible x values that you see on the graph. So if you were to look at this on just the x and y axis, where does, just the x-axis for domain, where does the graph actually show up? It shows up starting here, and it goes to the right. So it starts at -6 and it goes right. How do I say that? I say x is greater than or equal to -6. Okay? And now look at only the y-axis and see when the graph shows up. Well, the graph starts to show up right here, and then you go down from there. Okay, so how would you say this? This is y less than or equal to positive 2. Y less than or equal to positive 2. And you'll notice that the inside of this corresponds with the domain, and what's floating out here corresponds to the range. Okay? You can't tell whether or not it's greater than or equal to just by looking at these. But you derive your domain and range from those couple of numbers there. Okay, so transformations from y equals the square root of x. So basically the directions just say to compare this graph to the parent function. And remember that parent function looks like this. I'll just sketch it. Okay, so this one has been reflected across the x-axis. Reflected across the x-axis. Okay, and then it has been shifted to the left 6 units. Shifted left 6 units. And it's also been shifted up 2 units. Okay, and you want to use this vocabulary. You do want to use the word reflected. You don't want to say that it's flipped across the x-axis. And you want to say shifted, or another word for that is translated. Left 6 units, shifted or translated up 2 units. Okay? So, so basically that's it for number 19. I hope that was helpful.